What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today kind of a cool little video. As you've probably seen on my channel, I did harvest my very first turkey, and today I'm going to show you a little bit about how to preserve the beard as well as how to preserve the fan. So we want to try to make like a nice little wall mount for these two guys, and so today we're going to break it down a little bit. You're going to need to cut some of the meat off, take any excess feathers off. We're going to get down to the bare bones, just what we want left, and then I will show you kind of the step-by-step process on how we're going to proceed with this turkey, because I do not want it to go to waste. I really want to be able to show this off and show my trophy to everybody. So let's get started, and here we go. Took a real quick pause to go ahead and get some shades on. It's very bright out here. Storm's coming, but the sun's still out, so who knows when it's going to be here. But here we go. I think we're going to start with the beard. It's pretty easy. As you can see with this beard, there's still a little bit of fat on there. And if you're wondering, this was a bearded hen. I didn't even know that was a such thing. I got a lot to learn about turkey hunting still. I may have shot some of the beard off as well. You can see there's a few shorter ones, but overall it's not bad. It's probably right at 6 inches, the longest part. There's a little excess fat there and some meat we're going to trim just a little bit off. We want to keep just enough meat on there that it's going to keep it all together, but we also don't want to cut it too short that we might risk it deteriorating over time. So one thing you're going to need, I guess I should start with some of the tools you're going to need, is you're going to need some sort of little knife set. This is my knife set I use for deer. I'm going to use this little caping knife. This may be too big of a knife, but we're going to start with that and see. Otherwise I got some pocket knives. You're going to need some sort of little container to put the beard in. Also, you're going to need some wire brushes. That's just going to brush off some fat. I'm not sure how much we're going to use these, but we're going to try to get a little fat off with them. And also, you're going to need some sort of salt or borax. Either one should work. But let's start with this beard now. The beard has just a little bit of fat on there. I'm going to try to get some of that off. There's really no need for it. It's not going to hold much of it together. You're really going to want to try to get a very sharp knife. These are extremely sharp. I'm sure they won't be after I run them through the wood like that. But then there you go. That's pretty much as good as it's going to get. Then what you're going to want this container for is you're going to want to put some salt in there, and then you can drop that beard in there and let that sit for, 3 to 5 days, maybe a week. You just have to keep checking it over time, and hopefully that beard will have dried out. So we've got the beard in there now, and we're just going to cover that end with some salt. Unfortunately, it's a little wasteful with salt, but you don't want to slack on the salt. You want to be very generous, because the last thing you want to do is get this in your house and it still smells. So we're going to give this a shot for about 3 to 5 days, and it should be good. Now that the beard's done, we're going to move on to the fan. The fan is going to take a lot more time. It's not that it's a difficult process, it's just a very time-consuming process. So let's start with the back of the fan. As you see here, we've got all these feathers. You're not going to see any of this, so there's no need to keep them. So what we're going to do is work these feathers off of here. We may try to pull them at first and then cut them. I'm going to try to be gentle because this is my first fan. So let's start by taking those back feathers off. You can kind of get these feathers all in your hand. You want to be able to see the whites of those feathers in the back, and then anything below that should just be able to be pulled off or cut off. Another fun fact, you may want a bucket to put some of this in. Just make cleanup a little bit easier. You can throw the feathers right in there. I'm going to take my time with these feathers. I want to make sure that I'm not going to ruin this fan at all. Some of these feathers would be very cool to keep and use for tying flies, for fly fishing. They'd make really cool, hair jigs. We have officially gotten all of the back feathers off. Now we're just going to clean up the back a little bit, get a little less meat there. Kind of an excessive amount of meat, and we just don't want all that in there. So we're just going to work that off slowly. Don't want to cut too deep, don't want to break up the fan, but you can definitely get a lot of that off. That's still an inch thick. Found a little BB. That's pretty cool. Hopefully none of that made its way into the meat. Now we're just cutting off any of these excess feathers in the front. You can just tell that it's kind of overwhelming. You're never going to be able to get down to all that meat if you don't get rid of some of these feathers in the front. It looks a little cooler with them, but you cannot keep them with the meat on there as well. There's your little micro fan from the front. Just gonna scrap that. Now you've got all this meat in there, you just need to keep cleaning that up, and then eventually you'll get down to the pin feathers. Now what these wire brushes are for is to try to get some of this fat off the back. You can just kind of scrape it off. Sometimes it's easier if you cut between the feathers just a little bit. Kind of opens them up just a little bit. They should still be just fine. They're held together okay. It's kind of held in this area here, so down below you can cut it out, cut out some of that fat. And the more you cut off, the more flimsy it's going to get, so you're definitely going to want to hold it down. I'm doing it outside. Obviously it's pretty fatty and pretty nasty, but with the wind, you're going to want to be very careful with it. That way it doesn't get taken up and, you know, anything could happen. We're starting to get somewhere. It's really starting to open up in the back. I got the back pretty good. I used the, this guy, I used the little metal brush, file brush, you know, to try to get some of that fat off. And it does help a little bit between, but you're still going to have to rely on that salt to do a lot of that work drying this thing up. These scissors also really do a good job. They kind of cut between the feathers, and then any fat that's kind of raised up, you can cut it right out. I'd say the back is pretty good now. You're not going to be able to get it all off. I mean, it is what it is. It's impossible, but you want to try to get a lot of that red meat off at least. The fat should dry up easier than that red meat. Use the wire brush to try to get a little bit more of that fat off in the front. Then we're going to call it good for now. And the next step to this process is going to revolve around a piece of cardboard. I'm just going to flip this one over. I used the top to clean on, and now I'm going to use the bottom for pinning this fan up. So the next step to this is you're really going to want to get this fan opened up, put some salt on it, and let it dry out for another 3 to 5 days. So this is kind of how we're going to put the fan. This is kind of the final product for the most part. We're going to start by getting a nice healthy amount of salt right on that cardboard, and then we'll lay out the fan. Salt is laid out. Now we're going to put the fan on top of the salt, get it opened up. A lot of people use staples or tacks. I've just got these really small finish nails, and that's how I'm going to get this guy laid down and pinned up. You can see I got one pin there, and I got another pin there. You can do multiple feathers if you want, but I'm just going to do those 2 for now, and hopefully they stick. And then now the next step is to dump a lot of salt in there, and then we should be good for another 3 to 5. And there's the finished product. Plenty of salt on there. You want to be really generous, like I said before. That way it'll dry all that fat out. And now we just need to wait 3 to 5 days, and then hopefully we'll be good for the next. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video today. We were just, you know, preserving that turkey fan. And then right after this is done, you're just going to take it off the board and make sure your feathers are exactly where you want it. And then you're going to want to take something like a 2-part epoxy that hardens up, and you can put it right in there and then keep it nailed down for the time being. Let it dry up, and then you'll have a fan that's perfectly all the way around, and it'll be perfect for your wall mount. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you guys thought, and I will see you on another episode. Peace.